a quiet Yorkshire village, but behind every cottage door, something was waiting to be uncovered. Heartbeat looked warm and nostalgic on the surface, yet Aidensfield was full of secrets, scandals, heartbreaks, and crimes that pulled the whole community into danger. The coppers, doctors, rogues, and villagers didn't just fill the screen, they made the place feel alive. Decades later, their stories still hit with the same pull. This is Heartbeat, Then and Now. P.C. Alf Ventress was the kind of village copper who seemed to know every road, every local face, and every trick before it happened. Played by William Simons, born on November 17, 1940, in Swansea, Wales, Ventress was 52 when Heartbeat first arrived in 1992. He was not the ambitious young officer chasing promotion, and that was exactly why audiences loved him. Alf carried the wisdom of experience, dry, calm, quietly amused, and often several steps ahead of everyone else without needing to show it. In Ashfordly, where policing meant as much about people as crime, Ventress gave the station its old-school backbone. Simons played him with warmth and restraint, turning small looks and deadpan lines into some of the show's most comforting moments. His presence balanced the younger officers and helped make Heartbeat feel like a real community rather than just a police drama. Before the series, Simons had already worked for decades in British film and television, beginning as a child actor and growing into a familiar character performer. He passed away in 2019 at the age of 78. Alf Ventress remains one of Heartbeat's great steady figures, wise, witty, and quietly irreplaceable. Oscar Blaketon entered Heartbeat like a man built from rules, discipline, and disapproval, but over time, he became one of Aidensfield's most unexpectedly lovable figures. He was played by Derek Fowlds, born on September 2, 1937, in London, England. Fowlds was 55 when the series began in 1992, bringing years of television experience to a character who could have been just a stern sergeant, but became much more. Blaketon worked because beneath the sharp tongue and rigid manner was a deep loyalty to the village. As a police sergeant, he expected standards. As the landlord of the Aidensfield Arms, he became part of the community's daily heartbeat. Still grumbling, still judging, but often revealing a warmer side when it mattered. Fowlds played him with perfect dryness, never softening him too much, yet allowing viewers to see the care behind the irritation. Before Heartbeat, he was already known to British audiences through The Basil Brush Show and Chess Minister, where his comic timing became widely admired. He passed away in 2020 at the age of 82 from complications related to pneumonia. Oscar Blaketon remains unforgettable, gruff, principled, and somehow comforting in every complaint. Bernie Scripps was proof that Heartbeat could find comedy in the strangest corners of village life. Played by Peter Benson, born on June 13, 1943, in England, Bernie was 52 when he joined the series in 1995. An undertaker and garage owner, he lived in that wonderfully odd space between practicality and eccentricity, 1 minute dealing with cars, the next dealing with coffins. Bernie worked because he brought gentle absurdity into Aidensfield without breaking the show's warm tone. Benson played him with dry timing and a slightly mournful charm, making Bernie funny even when the situation around him was gloomy. His partnership with David Stockwell became one of the series' great comic comforts, full of misunderstandings, schemes, and small disasters that somehow made the village feel more alive. But Bernie was never just a joke. Beneath the eccentric profession and quiet awkwardness was a man with loyalty and heart. Benson had a long career in television and theater, but Heartbeat made him especially familiar to British audiences. He passed away in 2018 at the age of 75 after a short illness. Bernie remains one of Aidensfield's most endearing oddballs, gloomy by trade but warm by nature. Claude Jeremiah Greengrass was trouble in a flat cap, and Heartbeat was never quite the same without him. Played by Bill Maynard, born on October 8, 1928 in Surrey, England, Greengrass was 64 when the series began in 1992. He was a poacher, traitor, schemer, and full-time survivor, always one deal away from disaster and one excuse away from avoiding blame. What made him work was that audiences never truly disliked him. Greengrass broke rules, bent truth, and irritated the police, but Maynard gave him such roguish warmth that he became part of the village's soul. His schemes often brought humor into the show, while his friendship with David and his clashes with the local officers kept Aidensfield lively. Maynard understood old-fashioned comic rhythm: the pause, the look, the grumble, the sudden flash of cunning. Before Heartbeat, he was already known through British comedy and television, but Greengrass became one of his defining roles. He passed away in 2018 at the age of 89 after complications following a fall. Greengrass remains unforgettable, dodgy, charming, and somehow always forgiven by the village he kept disturbing. Sergeant George Miller brought firm authority back into Ashfordly with a calmness that never felt forced. He was portrayed by John Dutton, born on March 15, 1949 in Barnsley, England. Dutton was 43 when Heartbeat first aired in 1992, though Miller became part of the show's later police world. The character worked because he carried discipline without losing humanity. He could be strict, direct, and professional, but he also understood that policing a close-knit Yorkshire community required patience as much as power. Dutton played Miller with a grounded seriousness, giving the station a sense of order while still allowing warmth to show through the cracks. In a series where village problems were often personal, Miller's steady leadership helped balance emotion and procedure. Outside Heartbeat, Dutton built a respected career in British television and theatre, with memorable work in dramas such as To Serve Them All My Days and other period and contemporary productions. In 2026, he turned 77. Sergeant Miller remains a strong, reliable presence in the show's long history, a man of rules, judgment, and quiet decency. Peggy Armstrong arrived in Heartbeat like a storm of schemes, opinions, and unstoppable confidence. Played by Gwen Taylor, born on February 19, 1939, in Derby, England, Peggy was 66 when she joined the series in 2005. She worked because she brought fresh comic energy to the later years of Aidensfield. Peggy was sharp-tongued, ambitious, and always looking for a way to turn a situation into profit, even if the plan was questionable from the start. But what made her more than a troublemaker was the heart underneath. Taylor played her with warmth behind the mischief, making Peggy feel like a woman shaped by survival, pride, and a refusal to sit quietly in the background. Her relationship with David Stockwell gave the show a lively new double act, often dragging him into chaos while still revealing real affection. Taylor had already enjoyed a long career in British television, film, and theatre, known for her strong comic presence and emotional range. In 2026, she is 87. Peggy remains one of Heartbeat's late-era sparks, loud, shrewd, funny, and impossible to ignore. Vernon Scripps brought big talk, big dreams, and bigger trouble to Heartbeat. Played by Geoffrey Hughes, born on February 2, 1944, in Wallasey, England, Vernon was 57 when he joined the series in 2001. He was the kind of man who could turn a simple idea into a full-blown disaster before anyone had time to stop him. Vernon worked because his schemes were ridiculous, but his optimism was strangely touching. Hughes played him with warmth and comic confidence, making Vernon feel like a lovable chancer rather than a hardened rogue. Whether chasing a business opportunity, dragging Bernie into confusion, or disturbing the quiet rhythm of village life, he gave the show a burst of larger-than-life humor. Hughes was already beloved in British television before Heartbeat, especially as Eddie Yates in Coronation Street and later as Onslow in Keeping Up Appearances. His presence carried decades of comic goodwill. Sadly, he passed away in 2012 at the age of 68 after a long battle with prostate cancer. Vernon remains a joyful part of Aidensfield's memory, foolish, funny, and always convinced the next plan would finally work. Lord Ashfordly gave Heartbeat its touch of aristocratic absurdity, a man of land, tradition, and often spectacular self-importance. He was played by Rupert Vansittart, born on February 10, 1958, in Cranley, England. Vansittart was 34 when the series began in 1992. Lord Ashfordly worked because he represented an older social order still lingering over the Yorkshire countryside. He could be pompous, patronizing, and stubbornly attached to status. Yet the show often found humor in the gap between his title and the messy realities of village life. Vansittart played him with perfect dryness, letting the character's confidence become part of the joke without turning him into a fool. His clashes with Greengrass, the police, and ordinary villagers gave the series a sharp class contrast while keeping the tone light. Outside Heartbeat, Vansittart built a strong career in British screen drama, with memorable roles in Pride and Prejudice, Game of Thrones, The Crown, and many other productions. In 2026, he is 68. Lord Ashfordley remains one of the show's great comic authority figures, grand, difficult, and wonderfully out of touch. PC Rob Walker brought a younger, more reflective energy into Heartbeat's later years. Played by Jonathan Kerrigan, born on October 14, 1972, in Ipswich, England, Rob was 32 when he joined the series in 2004. He worked because he arrived with idealism, but not innocence. Rob wanted to be a good officer, to earn trust, and to find his place in a community where every decision could become personal. Kerrigan played him with quiet intensity and emotional openness, making Rob feel capable without being hardened. His storylines often balanced police duty with private feeling, especially through his relationships and the personal ties that connected him to Aidensfield. In a long-running series, new officers needed to feel like part of the village rather than replacements, and Rob gradually did exactly that. Kerrigan also brought musical talent and broader screen experience to his career, appearing in British dramas before and after Heartbeat. In 2026, he is 53 and turns 54 in October. Rob Walker remains one of the later characters who helped keep the show alive, thoughtful, steady, and shaped by the changing world around him. Rosie Cartwright brought kindness and emotional warmth into Heartbeat at a time when the series still needed young characters with real heart. She was portrayed by Vanessa Heehere, born on January 1, 1981, in Manchester, England. Heehere was 20 when she joined the show in 2001. Rosie worked because she had a gentleness that felt natural, especially in a village where personal problems often sat just beneath the surface. As a nurse, she represented care, patience, and the quiet work of helping people through fear, illness, and uncertainty. But she was not only defined by her profession. Her relationships, hopes, and emotional choices gave her a strong place within the community. Heehere played Rosie with sincerity, making her feel approachable and human rather than overly polished. Her connection with PC Rob Walker added romance and vulnerability to the series, helping viewers invest in the personal lives behind the police and medical storylines. After Heartbeat, Heehere continued working in television, theater, and drama, including roles in popular British series. In 2026, she is 45. Rosie remains a soft but memorable presence, caring, determined, and part of Aidensfield's emotional fabric. Carol Cassidy brought a no-nonsense warmth to Heartbeat's later years, giving Aidensfield another strong woman at the center of community life. Played by Lisa Kay, born on February 11, 1971, in England, Carol was 33 when she joined the series in 2004. She worked because she felt practical, emotionally alert, and grounded in the everyday business of village living. As landlady of the Aidensfield Arms, Carol was not just pulling pints. She was listening, noticing, advising, and holding together the small social world that gathered around the pub. Kay played her with directness and quiet compassion, making Carol believable as someone who could be firm when needed but kind when it mattered. Her relationships and personal storylines added emotional texture, especially as the show explored love, loyalty, and loss inside a familiar rural setting. Outside Heartbeat, Lisa Kay continued in television and theater, showing range across drama and stage work. In 2026, she turns 55. Carol Cassidy remains one of the later characters who helped keep the village feeling alive, steady behind the bar, sharp in conversation, and always part of the community's pulse. Jackie Bradley brought intelligence, independence, and emotional strength into Heartbeat. Played by Fiona Dolman, born on January 8, 1970, in London, England, Jackie was 28 when she joined the series in 1998. She worked because she felt modern without seeming out of place in the show's nostalgic world. Jackie was capable, direct, and unwilling to be treated as secondary, which made her stand out in a village full of strong personalities. Dolman played her with confidence and warmth, giving the character both sharpness and vulnerability. Her relationship with PC Mike Bradley became an important part of the show's emotional life, showing how romance, duty, and personal ambition could become complicated in a small community. Jackie's presence helped expand the series beyond crime of the week storytelling, adding personal stakes and a sense of changing expectations for women. After Heartbeat, Dolman became widely known for her role as Sarah Barnaby in Midsomer Murders, continuing her place in British television drama. In 2026, she is 56. Jackie remains memorable because she brought clear-eyed strength to Aidensfield, intelligent, grounded, and quietly determined to define herself. David Stockwell was one of Heartbeat's great gentle souls, awkward, kind, and always somehow pulled into trouble he never really asked for. Played by David Lonsdale, born on May 21, 1963, in Kingston upon Hull, England, David was 30 when he joined the series in 1993. He worked because he brought innocence into a world full of schemes, authority, and village gossip. David could be naive, easily led, and comically unlucky, but Lonsdale gave him such warmth that audiences never laughed at him cruelly. They rooted for him. His partnerships with characters like Bernie, Vernon, and Peggy created some of the show's best comic rhythms, often turning simple plans into wonderfully tangled disasters. Yet David also gave Heartbeat emotional softness. He showed loyalty, patience, and a need to be accepted, which made him more than just comic relief. Outside the series, Lonsdale continued working across television, film, and theater, but David Stockwell remains his most beloved role. In 2026, he turned 63. David remains unforgettable, sweet, baffled, endlessly good-hearted, and one of Aidensfield's most comforting presences. PC Mike Bradley arrived in Heartbeat with the confidence of a young officer trying to prove himself and the vulnerability of a man still learning what duty really costs. He was portrayed by Jason Durr, born on December 2, 1967, in Hastings, England. Durr was 30 when he joined the series in 1997. Mike worked because he brought a fresh emotional drive to the police stories. He was principled, ambitious, and compassionate, but not untouched by doubt. In Aidensfield, every case carried local consequences, and Mike often had to balance procedure with personal feeling. Durr played him with a blend of strength and sensitivity, making the character believable both in uniform and in private moments. His relationship with Jackie Bradley became a central emotional thread, showing how love and police work could collide in a small community. After Heartbeat, Durr continued in British television, later becoming known to another generation through Casualty. In 2026, he turns 59. Mike Bradley remains one of the show's key officers, sincere, capable, and shaped by the weight of trying to do right. Dr. Kate Rowan gave Heartbeat its original emotional warmth beyond the police station. Played by Nam Cusack, born on October 20, 1959, in Dalkey, Ireland, Kate was 33 when the series began in 1992. She worked because she brought care, intelligence, and moral steadiness into the village from the very start. As the local doctor, Kate saw Aidensfield at its most vulnerable: illness, fear, family conflict, birth, loss, and quiet private pain. Cusack played her with compassion that never felt sentimental. Kate was gentle but strong, professional but deeply human. Her marriage to PC Nick Rowan helped shape the early identity of the show, giving Heartbeat a personal foundation as well as a police drama structure. Through her, the series felt not just like a story about crime, but about a community being looked after from every side. Outside Heartbeat, Cusack built a distinguished career in theater, film, and television, becoming part of one of Ireland's most respected acting families. In 2026, she turned 67. Kate Rowan remains one of the show's most beloved early figures, kind, principled, and remembered with real tenderness. Dr. Liz Merrick brought a composed, caring presence to Heartbeat in the later years of the series. She was portrayed by Aisling McCucken, born on May 11, 1974, in Belfast, Northern Ireland. McGuckin was 29 when she joined the show in 2003. Liz worked because she carried professional calm into a village where medical problems were rarely just medical. Every patient had a family, a secret, a fear, or a connection to the wider community, and that made her role emotionally important. McGuckin played Liz with intelligence and quiet sensitivity, making her feel capable under pressure, while still open to the personal demands of small, town life. In Heartbeat, doctors often served as bridges between public duty and private pain, and Liz continued that tradition with dignity. Her storylines added warmth, concern, and stability to the Ashfordly world. Outside the series, McGuckin built a strong career across television, film, and theater, including roles in period drama and contemporary British productions. In 2026, she turns 52. Dr. Liz Merrick remains a thoughtful part of the show's medical legacy, calm, humane, and quietly essential. Dr. Tricia Summerbee brought intelligence, kindness, and emotional clarity into Heartbeat. Played by Claire Calbraith, born on January 1, 1974, in Macclesfield, England, Tricia was 27 when she joined the series in 2001. She worked because she felt both professional and approachable, the kind of doctor who could handle a crisis but still understand the fear behind a patient's silence. In Aidensfield, medicine was never separate from community life. Tricia's work placed her close to people's most private struggles, and Calbraith gave the character warmth without overplaying it. Her presence added calm to the show, especially in storylines where illness, family tension, or personal uncertainty needed a steady hand. Tricia also brought emotional depth through her relationships and her connection to the wider village world, helping the series maintain its balance of drama and human feeling. After Heartbeat, Calbraith continued building a successful television career, appearing in British dramas such as Downton Abbey, Home Fires, Vera, and others. In 2026, she is 52. Dr. Tricia Summerbee remains a memorable figure because she gave Aidensfield care with quiet strength. Dr. Helen Trent entered Heartbeat with experience, composure, and a sense of emotional maturity. She was portrayed by Sophie Ward, born on December 30, 1964, in London, England. Ward was 40 when she joined the series in 2004. Helen worked because she brought another layer of professional female strength into the medical side of Aidensfield. She was capable, thoughtful, and steady in moments where others needed reassurance. In a village drama, the doctor often becomes a witness to everything people try to hide: pain, pride, fear, and family secrets. And Helen carried that responsibility with quiet authority. Ward played her with grace and intelligence, making the character feel measured rather than distant. Her storylines helped keep the later seasons rooted in care and consequence, reminding viewers that Heartbeat was as much about people's lives as it was about police work. Beyond the series, Ward built a wide career across film, television, stage, and writing, known for both period drama and contemporary roles. In 2026, she turns 62. Dr. Helen Trent remains one of the show's later medical figures, calm, compassionate, and quietly strong. DS Rachel Dawson brought sharper investigative authority into Heartbeat's later years. Played by Claire Willa, born on May 10, 1973, in London, England, Rachel was 32 when she joined the series in 2005. She worked because she represented a more modern police presence within the familiar, nostalgic setting. Rachel was intelligent, focused, and professional, able to command respect in investigations without losing her emotional awareness. Willie played her with controlled strength, giving the character a clear sense of competence. In a show known for village warmth, Rachel helped maintain the procedural tension, stepping into cases with the seriousness of someone who understood both evidence and people. Her personal storylines also allowed the audience to see beyond the badge, adding vulnerability and humanity to her role. That balance made her an important part of the later ensemble. Outside Heartbeat, Willie continued working across British television and theater, building a varied acting career. In 2026, she turns 53. DS Rachel Dawson remains a strong late-series presence, sharp, steady, and proof that Aidensfield could evolve while keeping its familiar heart. Dawn Bellamy brought a younger emotional energy into Heartbeat near the end of its long run. She was played by Nikki Sanderson, born on March 28, 1984, in Blackpool, England. Sanderson was 24 when she joined the series in 2008. Dawn worked because she arrived with warmth, vulnerability, and a sense of someone still finding her place in a community full of history. As a receptionist at the Ashfordley Police Station, she became part of the daily rhythm of village life, hearing worries, seeing tensions, and slowly building relationships with the people around her. Sanderson played Dawn with openness, giving the character a softness that fitted the show's emotional tone. Her connection to the Bellamy name also carried weight for longtime viewers, linking her to one of Heartbeat's most beloved figures. Before this role, Sanderson was already known from Coronation Street, and later she continued her soap success in Hollyoaks, becoming a familiar face to younger audiences. In 2026, she turns 42. Dawn remains part of the show's final chapter, kind, searching, and connected to the memories that came before her. Dr. Neil Bolton brought calm professionalism into Heartbeat, offering another steady medical presence in Aidensfield's ever-changing community. Played by David Michaels, born on June 15, 1964, in England, Neil was 33 when he joined the series in 1997. He worked because the village doctor in Heartbeat always needed to be more than a medical expert. He had to be a confidant, a witness, and sometimes the first person to understand that a physical problem was connected to something deeper. Michaels gave Neil a composed and compassionate tone, making him believable as someone people could trust in moments of fear or uncertainty. His presence helped link the police and medical worlds, especially in stories where crime, accident, illness, and private trouble overlapped. Neil's calm manner gave the show stability during a period of cast changes, keeping the village's emotional structure intact. Outside Heartbeat, Michaels continued acting across television and theater, appearing in a range of British productions. In 2026, he turns 62. Dr. Neil Bolton remains a quiet but important part of the show's world, professional, caring, and built for the kind of drama that unfolds behind closed doors. PC Phil Bellamy gave Heartbeat one of its warmest human centers. Played by Mark Jordon, born on January 25, 1965 in Oldham, England, Phil was 28 when he first appeared in the series. He was the sort of officer viewers could trust immediately, friendly, loyal, slightly vulnerable, and always trying to do the right thing even when life made it complicated. Bellamy worked because he felt less like a heroic television policeman and more like a decent man serving a village he genuinely cared about. Jordon gave him humor, softness, and emotional honesty, which made his relationships matter, especially his long-running connection with Gina Ward. Their romance became one of the show's most memorable emotional threads, giving Heartbeat tenderness alongside its crime stories and village drama. When Bellamy's story later ended tragically, it hit audiences hard because he had become part of the emotional furniture of Aidensfield. Away from the series, Jordon continued acting and directing across British television. In 2026, he is 61. Phil Bellamy remains one of the show's most beloved officers, kind, flawed, loyal, and remembered with real affection. Gina Ward became one of the faces most closely tied to the heart of Aidensfield. Played by Tricia Penrose, born on April 9, 1970, in Kirkdale, England, Gina was 23 when she joined Heartbeat in 1993. She worked because she was more than a familiar face behind a desk or bar. Gina carried warmth, loyalty, and emotional openness, becoming someone viewers associated with friendship, romance, and community. Penrose played her with brightness and sincerity, giving the character an approachable charm that lasted across many years. Gina's relationships, especially with Phil Bellamy and later Rob Walker, gave the series some of its most tender and painful moments. She represented the personal side of Heartbeat, the friendships, heartbreaks, and small acts of support that made the village feel real. Outside the series, Penrose worked in television, theater, music, and entertainment, remaining a familiar personality to British audiences. In 2026, she turns 56. Gina Ward remains one of the show's emotional anchors, caring, resilient, and forever linked to the warmth that made Heartbeat so comforting. Aidensfield may have looked peaceful, but Heartbeat always knew the truth. Every village has secrets, every smile can hide pain, and every familiar face carries a story. The cast gave those stories warmth, danger, humor, and heartbreak, turning a quiet Yorkshire world into television memory. Some are still with us, others are sadly gone, but their legacy still echoes through every street, pub, surgery, and police station. Which Heartbeat character stayed with you most? Comment below, like, subscribe, and join us again on Hollywood 1960s.